Hello there, and welcome to this brand new Wizard Zero to Hero series where I'm going to take you, someone that might not know anything about Wizard, and turn you into an absolute Wizard demon. I'm going to show you how you can play Wizard in the Goblin Caves like an absolute pro, how to take every single fight against monsters, how to take a fight against almost every single class, hopefully we run into almost every single class, and how to build your stash into something that looks sort of like this in just a couple of days, so you can go ahead and buy cracked gear and spend it all trying to play high rollers and dying like I usually like to do. And a side note is you can do all of this with just very basic loot. For example, just a gray spellbook from the Alchemist, as well as some extra stuff which I will be talking about later. And before we get started, I want to sort of give you an overall view of everything related to Wizard and how everything works. So I'm going to be timestamping this. If you don't want to get the rundown of how everything related to Wizards works, including their spells and their perks, just go ahead and skip to the time in the bottom, which will have the first couple of games. But if you want to learn what items to buy in the shop, how your perks work, just stick along, because I'm going to explain it to you on a brand new account. So here we are on a brand new account. Essentially, we're going to go over perks first. So starting out, you're just going to want to go ahead and take Quick Chant. It increases all your spellcasting time by around 10%, which is super useful. Spellcasting time is one of the most important things as Wizard. And in terms of skills, you're going to want to keep the default ones, which is Spell Memory and Meditate. Spell Memory just allows you to use spells, so you of course have to take it unless you're running some like meme wizard with a quarterstaff and you're doing physical damage or something and you don't use spells. And meditation is going to allow you to regenerate those spells. So if you're not familiar, wizards have spells, and each spell has a amount of times you can cast it before it runs out, which is denoted by the number on the bottom right of the spell. So let's take invisibility, for example. You can cast it 4 times before you run out of charges, and there are 3 ways to regain charges. Number 1 is to pop meditate, which will make you sit down and regenerate those spells over a certain amount of time. Number 2 is to use a clarity. Number 3 is to rest like you normally would in order to just sit down and regain your health, which is a lot slower than meditation. And I guess number 4 is you can get buffed by a Bard on your team and they could cast a spell. Bard has a spell that can help you regenerate spells as well. But now we're going to go over the actual spells I would recommend you starting with. So first off, we're going to start with Fireball. Fireball is like your bread and butter long range PvP spell that you're going to want to take. This will help you do things like break down doors. If you are chasing somebody, it will it's a very reliable spell if someone's just long distance and you're trying to hit them without them sort of being able to counter it. It's also very reliable if somebody is rushing you, like for example a rogue or a fighter. Casting Fireball on them will knock them back temporarily and give you some time to go invisible or to haste yourself or to just turn around and run away. The next spell is Magic Missile. This is the bread and butter PvE spell you're going to be running. It does 10 missiles that are sort of like missile homing missiles, although the AI on how it actually tracks enemies isn't that great, which is why I don't recommend using this spell against players unless like they are just standing still trying to open a portal, or they're doing something weird, or let's say you run out of spells and someone's rushing you, or someone's rushing you and you know they're low. You can pop Magic Missile and just sort of hit them in the face with it until they die and hope that it's enough to kill them. But it is pretty much what we are going to use to clear almost everything in the Goblin Caves in terms of monsters. The next spell is Haste. This gives you 12% action and movement speed for around 12 seconds. It is insanely useful and important to pop this before starting any fight if you have time. A lot of the times if I hear an enemy close by and I'm looking to fight them, I will pop Haste and then either start fireballing them or go invisible, which leads us to the next spell, which is Invisibility. Now this spell recently got nerfed, but essentially it allows you to go invisible for 5 seconds, it used to be 7, and you gain a small movement speed bonus for those 5 seconds, which stacks with haste movement speed as well. And this is really good for kiting enemies. As a wizard, you really don't want people being in front of your face. Even if you're really geared, a not so geared rogue that is on top of you, shanking you with their dagger, is probably enough to just kill you outright regardless of how much much gear you have and how much magic you damage you do, because it takes time to cast spells and they can get you down really quickly. So you essentially want to be popping invisibility if you're trying to get away. Usually if I'm going into a fight, I like popping invisibility, going behind someone and surprising them, or you can do it in the middle of the battle to gain more distance away from them if they are getting closer and closer to you. Now the final spell is up to you. You can run Zap, which is the more popular choice, and what this does is it's sort of like a single burst damage, sort of mid-range damage ability that allows you to do a decent amount of magic damage, not as much, of course, as Fireball or Magic Missile, if you hit everyone with Magic Missile, but it's sort of like a finisher, or if somebody's running away from you and you know they're low, or let's say someone's chasing you know they're low, you sort of just pop this and hope that they die. Or if you're fighting a mob and you just use a Magic Missile and you know they might be 1 or 2 HP and you don't want to pop another one, you can use Zap to finish them off. I personally have been playing around with Lightning Strike instead of Zap, and this is a bit harder to play with, so use it at your own discretion. It's not the same as Chain Lightning, which you might see in Howling Crypts when people run 3-mans, but Lightning Strike essentially gives you this sort of area after channeling that you can cast it on, and lightning will strike down from the ceiling onto the opponent, and it will pretty much do a whole lot of damage, more than a Zap would, and I love to use this for sort of mid-range skirmishes to zone people from getting too close to me after, you know, Fireball's effectiveness becomes not that great. And it's essentially, it's especially good for fighters, because fighters will normally block your zaps, for example, your Fireball, zaps, and Magic Missiles with their shield as they try to close the distance on you. But this comes from the ceiling, so a lot of the times they'll just sit there trying to use their shield, not realizing that you're not casting Chain Lightning or something, or Zap, and it will just come from the ceiling and kill them pretty quick, and it does a ton of damage. And those are the spells I like to run with. And next, let's talk about some of the items you can get from the merchant. So obviously this is a brand new account, so you're just going to be starting with the default gear. However, the things you want to look out for, and the things I usually bring in, is number one, a gray spellbook from the Alchemist. Green spellbooks are usually pretty decent as well if they're under 50 gold, and if you can find them under 50 gold. But I personally prefer to just go in with the, I think, 12 gold gray spellbooks. And whenever I see them in the shop, I'll just stack up on like 10 of them and keep them in there, and then just keep rotating them out. And the reason you want spellbooks instead of magic staffs is because magic staffs, you'll see when you cast abilities, the magic staff is very clunky. It's very easy for it to hit a wall and cancel the actual cast animation of the spell, as well as you stick the magic staff out when you're casting something like Magic Missile. So if an enemy is right in front of you, the Magic Missile will actually go behind them, which really sucks for PvE. And also the movement speed is -20 on the magic staff. Even though they did just buff it and give it a bit of magic damage, I still prefer to use spellbooks over everything. And you will see, hopefully we can get out on our first run, and that's what I'm going to be saving up for, a spellbook. The next thing to look out for is a couple of items from the Leathersmith. So the Rawhide Gloves is the best in slot item for a wizard, because it gives you knowledge and will, both of which stats you do very well with. So will go ahead and increase your damage and your buff duration, as well as your magic resistance, which isn't that notable. And knowledge will go ahead and increase the amount of spells you can bring in. That's not too important unless you're running double spellbook, which is a bit more advanced. And also allow you to get a lot more casting speed. And it also makes it so that when you meditate, your meditation heals more charges. So will and knowledge is very, very, very beneficial to get. So for 6 gold, getting 1 will, 1 knowledge from Rawhide Gloves, I usually stack up on a bunch of these as well. And there are also pants that do the same thing you can get from the Leathersmith. I can't remember what they're called, but they're all beige pants, and they also give 1 will, 1 knowledge. And then from the tailor, you can also get either the Mystic Vestments or the Oracle Robes. The Oracle Robes will give you 1 knowledge, and the Mystic Vestments will give you 1 will. They're also a decent purchase to pick up. And whenever I can't get the pants that I like, I'll sometimes run loose trousers just for that 1 agility. It still decreases your movement speed because the 1 agility doesn't make up for the 3 movement speed, but I still like running it sometimes because the agility also gives you some other benefits, such as slightly attacking faster with your staff, and interacting and other stuff that just makes it feel a bit more smooth, that I enjoy doing. So to go ahead to start, let's go ahead and just hop into a game. Alright, so we're heading into our first game. It is worth noting that I'm a bit more aggressive of a mage player than most people, but what we want to do in this initial run is probably to try and avoid a lot of action and just build up a bit of gold in our first run so we can afford a spellbook next run, and not really try to mess with that many people. So where you spawn is really important on the goblin caves, as well as where the initial circle spawns. You can see that we spawn on the top left, which I don't really like to spawn. There is a centipede you can kill that we might kill for XP. But essentially, I don't like being this away from the center, and I don't like being this away from the circle. So I might go ahead and just try to maybe run through this area and get to the circle before we start really going ham on killing stuff and looting. And I'm probably going to be picking up almost everything, and this is an amazing drop. These are the gloves I was talking about, +1 knowledge, +1 will. We got a green one right off the bat, which is pretty lucky for us, and that is always nice. So this guy's a bit glitchy, so I don't know if I want to waste a magic missile on him just yet. Okay, now it's better than this. There we go. And if you wanted to cheese a centipede, which we can do, it's a bit risky because people usually spawn on both sides of those doors. So if anyone third parties you, it's pretty rough, but we can go ahead and try doing it. I'm going to go ahead and aggro it. We're going to use this as cover for his spit. So we're going to just wait until he comes out. And essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to be on these spikes, just running backward and forward on the spikes, essentially, in a circle. So he's here, let's just get him on the spikes. And now you just keep rotating around the spikes. Usually, if you don't want to do this and you have a spellbook, it takes around 5 magic missiles to the face, to the head, to actually kill him. And just make sure while you're doing this, if you hear him start to spit, like that, you go ahead and jump and duck. Or jump and crouch, rather. Which I did not do, but it's okay because there's a health shrine in his rooms to help you recover anything. But this is a pretty loud thing, so a lot of the times people might hear you, so it's a bit risky. I've died a couple times like that, but it looks like we're okay. And we got a ring of courage with 1 strength. That's going to give us a bit of health. The fact that there's no other rolls on it is kind of bad, but we'll take it. So I'm going to go ahead here and we're going to use the shrine. Our magical interaction speed is super quick, so we shrine very quickly. I'm also going to pop and meditate to get our magic missiles back. Having that really fast magical interaction speed also makes it so you open portals super quickly too, which is super nice. But as you can see, the circle's already closing in pretty quickly. I'm probably going to get 1 more magic missile right there. I'm going to try to open this chest and just get out pretty soon. Our regular interaction speed isn't the fastest, which is why opening stuff like this usually takes a while. We're going to go ahead and just take all of that so we can sell it. But yeah, this took a bit too long, so we're in the circle for a bit. Not the biggest deal in the world. However, the other circle being that far away from us sort of sucks. Usually, you want to avoid the middle room unless you're on the top floor. I quite dislike going through the middle room when I'm on the bottom floor because there's the skeleton champion in there and it's really easy to aggro it. But we're just going to see if we can go ahead and get around it. There's someone killing the cave troll. If I had a spellbook, maybe I'd go check it out, but not right now. Alright. I just wanted to quickly check this room. But essentially we want to get to that room right in front of us. Come here. Hopefully don't aggro it. And here we go. All the lights being off here is kind of sus. But I guess it's okay. All the lights are off here as well. Pretty weird. Looks like this place is already looted, and we have the opportunity to go upstairs, which I'm going to take. It looks like this room was already taken care of as well. or not fully. So we still have the opportunity to get a healing shrine. Or we can just pull that bola slinger over here. Wait until he swings and then just come, aim at his head. And then usually by the time he's about to do his last cast, you'll kill him. This guy, you just want to make sure your headshot him, and he usually dies pretty quick. Someone ran through here. I don't know if it's still here or not. I'm a bit on edge about that, but it looks like it's pretty clear. Let's go ahead and just take the Shrine of Health. Ideally, I want to meditate to get my magic missiles back, so we can PvE. Alright. We'll take another green crossbow. We can actually use that. We don't have bolts, so other than the one that comes inside of it. We got bandage, that's really nice. Now let's just go ahead and meditate. Meditation is really loud, and it also like sort of deafens you, so you can't really hear if other people are coming. So it's a bit risky to pop it, especially in like an area like I'm in, where my back's sort of against the wall, and I'm sort of like in an area where if someone were to come, there's not a lot of options where to kite them or where to run with. So it's a bit risky doing that. Can't remember if I did this guy already. Nice. Cool. And we got some magic damage shoes. We're looking pretty okay. Usually there's a floor trap here sometimes. Oh, we hear someone. Let's go ahead and case. We don't know what direction he's coming from. It looks like he's over there. It's road. We can sort of at bay if he tries crossing over. Looks like he got through that trap. I think he might have been invisible. Usually if the road's invisible and you don't know where he is, you can try magic challenge. You hit him and you can see right there, we got him. He looks like he's low, so we're gonna chase him. But he actually just ended up dying to trap instead. He didn't have too much. We're gonna take all this white stuff anyways, even though I normally would not touch it. Just because we have no money and it will sell to the shop for a decent amount. I think I heard a portal somewhere around here. Probably just gonna take this and get out. We have almost a full inventory, even though someone's coming. And I definitely don't want to mess with that guy. Let's see what he... Oh yeah, we definitely don't want to be messing with this guy. Not with the staff, at least. So now we can just go ahead to the merchant. We got around 27 experience, not the most. We can go ahead and start selling some of these things. We went ahead and we made around 90 gold, which is not bad at all. Our alchemist, unfortunately, does not have a spellbook at the moment. So we're going to have to play without one for a bit longer. But, however, we can now afford some gray mystic vestments, which will give us one will. So we can get rid of these default ones. And I'm going to go ahead and buy some trousers to replace the cloth pants that we have. You can go ahead and sell them back so they're not cluttering up your inventory, but you do not get any money for it anyways. Oops. Forgot to go ahead and sell this bad boy. And yeah, so 77 gold, and we have some upgrades to our gear. We have some nice shoes, some trousers, some mystic vestments, as well as gloves, a ring, and some potions and stuff. We will go ahead and maybe wait for the second episode, wait for our alchemist to have a spellbook before we do the second episode. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you sub, hit that like button, comment on what content or any questions you might have, and thank you for watching.